Here we go, take 3, because I don't want to edit a bunch of videos together. But hello, my name is JJ Briggs, and welcome to the podcast. I was thinking about changing the podcast name, but I am not certain what I want to change it to just yet. So I just want to let you guys in to my inner world a little bit and what I think about and where I've been at and where I'm at with business too and coaching. And I know this is a little woo, but I have a little astrology app. And it was like, your platform has a real ability to connect others with ideas as subversive as your own. The truth can be a bitter pill, but you're no longer in the business of people pleasing. If you've been putting off starting that blog, email newsletter, or podcast, do it now. Do it yesterday. Your perspective on the world is far too powerful to keep to yourself. And I'm actually in a spot in business right now where I don't have any monthly, I don't have anybody signed to a contract. I'm just doing intensives. I'm doing other kind of side work for people. I'm doing organizing, cleaning. I've been doing some Instacarting. I'm scraping it together and I'm figuring it out. And, I think a problem that I have been trying to, I guess, quote unquote, solve is why aren't I showing up consistently in business? Why aren't I selling, my services? I know that I'm a great coach. I know that I'm a really good coach. And I did have, a couple clients kind of, we ended on, you want to end on really great terms with clients. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes, relationships in life, you learn a lot from. And I think that we're always constantly learning from each other. And, I definitely, whether it be with certain clients or with my divorce, it's I certainly reflect and I try my best to take accountability. And I think that I extend so much more compassion to other people than I extend to myself. And I don't know what that's about. Is it about, um, not feeling worthy of the compassion, or again, who knows? But one way in which I really think that it just really doesn't serve me, whether you want to call it imposter syndrome, or who am I to want to share my voice and to create a platform or cultivate an audience. When I the ideas I feel most passionate about, what I want to talk about and what I want to do, especially with my podcast and talking to other people, I say this to Lucy all the time. I obviously need to make money, and I need to provide for myself financially. But above all, I want to create things that are really impactful. And it's really hard for me to show up on social media and, dance and be silly and be, as I say, but my handle is the Playful Dietitian. And even this currently is called the Play and Ponder podcast. Why is there so much emphasis on play? It's because people that know me in real life know that my intensity is cranked up. I feel like I'm just on and intense, and I want to go deep. And I feel like I'm like that all the time. I feel like I really have to make a concerted effort to be playful and lighten the mood. And I spend so much time and thought thinking about where we're at right now, especially as a country. I feel like with a lot of coaches in the past, they've been like, okay, who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal client? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want people to listen to me. And I'm like, I guess maybe fellow Americans. Because whether we like it or not, we're here and the world is in the state that it's in. And I don't think that anybody that thinks that they all have it all figured out and know all the answers. I don't think anybody has this figured out. I don't think anybody knows what we're doing. I think we're all just winging it. And I think we're all just trying our best. And when you look at the length of time that humans have been on this earth, or even the length of time that we've been on this earth with electricity, with internet, things are evolving quickly and things change. And who knows if we've ever figured it out in the past? Who knows if we're ever going to figure it out in the future? But like I feel like a deep, like to my soul, it feels like genuinely, like I feel it viscerally, the fact that something needs to change. Again, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to pretend to know the answers for, everything, but what I do know, and what I do know has tremendously helped my clients, helped myself as I navigate through life, is really examining our all or nothing thinking, our dichotomous thinking, really like kind of like taking ownership of, our thought patterns, and realizing that, we do have the autonomy to change them, and that neuroplasticity is a real thing. I think, again, that self-reflection. I also think communication. I think that we are quite terrible communicators. And again, in the past, I have not communicated as well as I would have liked to. I have not been as clear as I would have liked to. I have said lies to cover my butt. I have, communicated in a way where like the goal was self-preservation. The goal was, sometimes a means to an end. And I'm not saying that any of that is justified or okay, but I do think that I think we have to really start looking at all or nothing thinking, and the only way that I've like all or nothing thinking on a grander scale. And with my clients, like what I teach them to do is I teach them to identify their all or nothing thinking and set small, reasonable goals forward, because at least then we're moving forward. And, if it starts, if we have, I talk about this a lot, but if we have 100 units of bandwidth and, 20 units of bandwidth are spent worrying about nutrition or worrying about our body, like what an amazing thing to do to help people, make that 20 bandwidth units 5, help them feel more safe around food, help them, get to the bottom of whether it's binge eating or emotional eating, help them prepare food in a way that they enjoy, help them expand their palate, help them not just stress about food as much. What a beautiful thing that we can kind of like minimize that bandwidth. And like my Lucy will tell you, and this is why I'm here, honestly, is because she is like the most patient, incredible human ever. And even if I have sometimes trouble forgiving myself, if I have trouble looking back on past things and cringing, or been like, gosh, I can't believe I didn't talk to her about that, or gosh, I can't believe I said that when I, was in this situation. I know what's worth talking about is the relationship that we have developed, the communication that we have developed, and the safety that we have created within our relationship. Okay, I'm sure I was mid-rant there, and I just paused to I was talking about Lucy. I just paused to text Lucy because I want to make sure that she comes in and gets food. I don't want to keep her from coming in the apartment. But when you're in a relationship with somebody and you have a connection with somebody, it's like you can tell. It's like you can tell what's going on under the surface, or you can tell. And sometimes it's really beneficial to talk about things, and sometimes we got to like figure things out for ourselves a little bit. But I feel like sometimes there's like this like deep longing to like one like get be accepted and make people proud. Like there's still absolutely people pleasing, especially when it comes to my parents and people I look up to and admire. So it's like there's always going to be some of that somewhere. And I think sometimes when it's the hardest to forgive myself, it's when I've ignored my gut. And again, I don't think that like my gut is always right, although I'm cut from the same cloth as my mom for sure, and she's always will proclaim that she's always right. And like I definitely need to be knocked off my high horse sometimes about being right. Like I think that's like the kind of conversation like I want to like start here, is like, being like, oh yeah, like that's a flaw of mine, and I'm working on it. Or yeah, this is something that I'm working on. Like taking ownership of the fact that again, like we're fallible, and as long as like we have good intentions and we're progressing and moving forward, like I think at the end of the day, like I think that I'm still an optimist. And I think that there's enough people out there that I've had individual conversations with one-to-one about how, you know, we're scared or, don't really know. It's like, how do we know who to believe and what to believe? And, he said this and she said that, but then they tweeted this, but then it's so much, and there's so much to care about. There is so much to care about. It is overwhelming how much there is to care about and how difficult it is to talk about the things that are so touchy and the things that like we need to care about and should care about a little bit more. Whether it be Murphy's back here grooming himself. I think ultimately none of this might make sense, but I just want to start letting people into, this is what I spend time in reverie about. This is what I spend time daydreaming about. How can we communicate better with one another? How can we create a better culture of understanding? How do we put more love and compassion into the world, into our communities, into our relationships? And there's always going to be a quest for what the answer is, what works, what doesn't work. And I think that it's really important for people to, figure out what values and what works for them, and, to challenge ideas and find a way to, again, just like communicate with one another. And why I'm talking about this is because I would rather, and it's not mutually exclusive, right? But I think not having a full-time job and not, I think this is where I'm going with all of this. So I have been taking the lead on dinners, on the grocery store. Today, Luce went to the grocery store. She figured out dinner. She took the lead because she could tell that like something is weighing on me. And I told her, and I was like, it feels like the feeling when like I need to have a conversation with somebody and I haven't had it yet. So whether it's with her or, I'm recording this on a program called Vidyard. There have been times where I've sent, clients like a long Vidyard to watch because we weren't able to connect, or, there was times where, I was going to do a course called Don't Eat Like an Asshole. And, I had to send a video to my parents being like, look, this is where I'm coming from and this is what I'm about and this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it. Joke's on me though, because obviously Don't Eat Like an Idiot is the proper name for that course. Right. But I have this feeling where it's like, I'm not having a conversation that I want to have, or I'm avoiding a conversation that I need to have. And I think what it really is being more public and open with like, look, like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what next steps might look like in business, but I do know that I want to start creating a community where everyone is welcome, where we can, start to figure out how do we want to proceed and how do we want to live life in a way that like feels good and in a way that, feels like we're in line with our values and our integrity. And like through coaching, through nutrition coaching, I'm really good at helping people see new perspective, and I'm really, really good at helping people identify that all or nothing mindset and work through that all or nothing mindset. We apply it to movement, we apply it to nutrition, we talk about compassionate grit, but I really think that is like you're able to apply it to like so many different spaces. So again, I don't know all the answers. I'm not going to pretend to know all the answers, but one thing that I think that we absolutely need to do is start communicating and start communicating better, start assuming good intentions. And my ass is 31. Like, I thought I would have it all figured out. I thought all these things. I still feel like a kid. I feel like I'm still little 12-year-old Jay, little, middle school Jay, little, like, I feel like there's still like that inner child is like in there. And then I realized like, dang, when I daydream about a better, brighter future and, people stepping into leadership in this country, like that is us. That is, if you're listening to this right now, like, you will have the ability to step up and be a leader. And I think I think that's something, when I look back on my journals for like the last like 7, 8 months or so, like, I kept writing like, I am a leader, I'm a leader. And something that never vibed was like, I'm a CEO. Like that doesn't vibe, but I want to be a leader. And growing up, I was always kind of like in my friend group or on the softball team, whatever it might be, kind of I was like always like looked at as like a leader. And I was class president in high school. I was captain of my softball team junior and senior year. And look, this is not saying like I look back, especially my senior year when I was a captain, and I'm like, gosh, I wish I could have done things differently. I wish I knew then, but I knew now. But that is a part of life. And I've I've been the friend who, if their people's parents ask like, well, is JJ going to be there? Okay, you can go, right? Kind of like, having a lot of a trust even with whether it be like authority or parents. And really, I'm definitely, an instigator, and there's definitely, a side to JJ that the parents didn't know, and I kept from them, right? So I'm not saying that like we're all fallible, we're all going to make mistakes. It's really difficult to forgive ourselves sometimes when we make mistakes. But I have led people, I have led teams, I have, been a food service director, I have been a manager, I have been a teammate, I have been a wife and now an ex-wife. Have been a girlfriend, I've been a daughter, I've been a lot of things. And I think that leadership can mean a lot of different things. And I think I've had opportunities in my career to, step into a greater leadership position or step into a supervisor position, and I've turned them down. And I think ultimately what I really truly feel called to do is like lead anybody who's listening, and myself. It's like I'm still, again, I need to stop saying this, but I cannot reiterate enough how much I don't have it all figured out and how much like we're all just trying to figure it out. But I do think that there's things that we need to start talking about. And I think that we talk, maybe privately about things, or, maybe, I don't know. At least I know in my life, if you had 2 years ago compared to now, I wasn't having the conversations in private that I needed to have. I wasn't having the raw, honest conversations with the people in my circle. I wasn't having the raw, honest conversations with people at work, people that put me in a trusted position, people that, I had a lot of trust in. Like we just weren't having the conversations that we needed to have. And I think that those conversations are truly life-changing, and they can have the ability to heal a lot and change. And I did it again. I paused and I forgot what I was talking about, but I think I was talking about the, embodying being a leader, embodying stepping up into a leadership position. And, I talk about No More Daydreams, and it feels like, again, it feels like it feels like a brand, and not even brand, but like a belief and like a mission. Like it feels like a way of like helping guide our decisions, at least for me. I looked up in chat GPT earlier. I'm like, what is daydreaming? And I gave you the definition. And, it is, things that we like imagine or spend time in reverie about. But like, I know for me, like my brain can go to some really dark places. My brain can go to some really crazy, intrusive thoughts and spirals. And so when I think like no more daydreams, like it's really about helping me put an end to those and take action on the positive things that I'm thinking about. Like it's crazy. I'm just constantly thinking like, like how would I tell somebody, you know, about this, or how would I explain this, or how would I I feel like I think in podcast and talking a lot, and I just want to talk to people and expose people to different things and new ideas, and be exposed to different things and new ideas, and try my best to lead. Again, I might not have a team of direct reports right now. I might not have clients that I'm actively working with, and I think in a way it's like I kind of like it's an incredible position to be in, right? To just be scraping things by and not have to worry about, my job being on the line, or, somebody hearing this podcast and being like, I don't agree with what you're saying. Or like, I don't know what you're talking about. You sound crazy. Like I'm out. Like, I don't have to worry about all that. And I think that there's a part of, I think there's sometimes like a part of me was like, well, if I don't try, then of course I'm going to fail. And so I think sometimes I don't put some of these thoughts out there, and I don't trust that what I feel called to do is for a reason. And so I want to lean into an era of trusting that. I want to lean into an era of, you know what, like this will find the right ears. This will find the right people. Hopefully, I think sometimes anytime I feel like I have to defend my character, and I'm like, well, why is that? Why do I defend my character? Do I feel guilty about something? Did I do some sort of behavior or action that wasn't in line with my integrity? And I just, I hope that those who know me, and those, either people who have been clients of mine, friends of mine, coaches of mine, where I'm coming from. This is all said from a lovely place. And I think that, again, I feel like some of this is like kind of vague, but I can't be the only one scared, right? Like I can't be the only one, journaling on the fact that, like, how do we care about all the things we're supposed to care about? And how do we truly make change? And what are we supposed to do? And the way that I've, again, really found a lot of solace is being honest with myself, being honest with others, starting to have those conversations with those around us in the hopes of a trickle effect, and really surrounding ourselves with the best type of relationships that we can have. And I think, again, I feel like part of me is like hesitant to talk about certain things, because like you look at me and my sister's text messages, like, oh, there's definitely some conspiracy theories tossed around and shared, but it's fun to kind of look at. And like sometimes like we have to like challenge the narrative and challenge just like the status quo. I think that's what it is. It's like what we're doing is not working. I just got off a call from one of my coaches today, and she was a former teacher, and I've heard her stories. My sister is an elementary school counselor, and the amount of like the amount that they go through, and the amount of understaffed and underpaid, it's like there are so many things to care about. There are so many systems that are broken. Like, how the heck, how do we make progress? Where do we go from here? And that's the kind of stuff that I want to talk about, in addition to a lot of the other things that I talk about. And I want everybody here. I want left. I want right. I want to figure out, again, truly, how do we talk to one another? And I want to put this podcast out there because, like I said, like I don't want to, dance on Instagram and be goofy and this and that one. There's a lot of like really like intense things that I think about and I want to talk about. And it's kind of like that bandwidth I was talking about. Like, maybe this will resonate with people. Maybe somebody will listen to this and be like, I know some of my aunts listen to this. I know I have friends younger than me, older than me. I know that, I have mothers, fathers that listen to this, and maybe some people will reach out and be like, hey, like that resonates. I'm also scared. I also don't know what the heck is going on, or where we're going, or what the answer is, but I know that what we're doing ain't in it. So maybe it will resonate with people. And from there, maybe I'll get more clarity, talk about more specific things. But I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about religion. I want to talk about sex. I want to start talking about the things that are really touchy to talk about. And, maybe not certainly diving in right away. And it's tricky sometimes to navigate these topics, but it's what I feel called to do. And, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening. It's really helpful if you just send this to even just like a friend. If you're like, hey, like, I think you might resonate with this. That's really helpful, because I'd be lying if I told you there was, this grand plan. I'd be lying if I told you I knew where I was headed next, but I just know no more daydreams. If I daydream about podcasts like this, it's time to start putting them out. So thank you for listening. My girl is home. So I'll talk to you later.